All right, guys, we're back. Welcome to another episode of Just Context. Um, we have some intriguing things to talk about this week. I know the world's been going crazy with politics and stuff like that, but we do have every now and then when something that jumps out of the wazoo, or probably jumps out of Wyoming, that gives us some information that that drives us crazy. So this week, guys, we're gonna go ahead and put Kanye West in context. I'm gonna let Gino go ahead.
You did not just say Wyoming.
Yo, that's where he calling from. Straight out of Wyoming. That's where all the pieces coming from.
All right. Hi, guys. Yeah, so the craziness surrounding Kanye right now, if you haven't heard, or even if you have and you just need a little reminder, um, Kanye went on a tweeting spree. So I'm sure by now everyone's heard that he decided he's running for president. Now, the whole world went crazy when this happened. But um, regardless of whether he put his papers in, he's so late, just oh so late. And he just won't be on the ballots in the majority of states, right? Um, he did a rally recently, and it was in a state that he's not on their ballot. So I kind of was like, I don't even understand why he did the rally, but cool beans. Um,
I know, Janelle. It started from the rally. It started right there. I'll let you go, but he started right there.
Believe me when I say that did not start at the rally. It started way before the rally. But at the rally, Sir Kanye was, essentially bouncing off the walls. Every clip that you saw from that rally was of him exhibiting every emotion under the book. One minute he was upset, he was yelling at somebody. The next minute he was so sad and upset that he was crying. The next minute he was, joyous and hugging people. It was I don't know, it was like a movie in little clips. And this was, within, I don't know, the span of maybe 15 minutes. Like back to back things just kept happening, and I was like, what is going on? Like, what?
Yeah.
So, he went viral for that because the girl that he attacked in the video, not physically, but verbally, she, I guess, set the record straight and let everybody know, he was attacking her because of XYZ and whatever. That's not really important. Point is, after that rally, he went on a Twitter spree. So he started tweeting. It was almost just a stream of thoughts, like stream of consciousness. He just kind of jumped on Twitter and started typing anything that he, came to his mind. And it was happening in real time. I was really reading it 54 seconds ago, he tweeted this. 2 minutes ago, he tweeted this. So I'm going to start reading off some of the screenshots that I caught because he definitely deleted a lot of them. So he said, Kim was trying to fly to Wyoming with a doctor to lock me up like on the movie Get Out because I cried about saving my daughter's life yesterday. NBC locked up Bill Cosby. I love my wife. My family must live next to me. It's not up to E or NBC anymore. Chris and Kim, call me now. Anna Wintour always showed me love, but when I told her I was going to Gap, she looked at me like I was crazy. Then she called back kissing my ass. Shia was he said deposed, but I'm sure he meant supposed to. Supposed to do the first Yeezy Gap shoot, and he never showed up. Is he talking about Shia LaBeouf in this?
I would think so.
So, anyway, if I get locked up like Mandela, y'all will know why. Kim tried to bring a doctor to lock up with a doctor. I don't know. Come and get me. This is Exodus, like Pusha said. Then he tweets Drake, the word Drake with the thinking emoji. Then I put my life on my God that North's mom would never photograph her doing Playboy. And that's on God. I'm at the ranch. Come and get me.
Straight out of Wyoming.
I put my life on the line for my children that North's mother would never sell her sex tape. Everybody knows the movie Get Out is about me. Then, some of the first tweets that he posted was actually of like Google searches, just random searches of people's names. One of those people were Halle Berry. So literally just type into your search bar Halle Berry in Google. And I mean, the first thing that pops up is really like her Wikipedia and like all her information, right? So he actually tweeted that screenshot of Google's results for Halle Berry. He also did the same thing for Jennifer Lawrence. And I think there was one other person that I don't remember right now because I didn't catch that screenshot. So let's start with that.
Wow.
Because that was one day. That wasn't even one day. That was like 1 hour of just a stream of consciousness onto his Twitter timeline.
Yeah, got a couple opportunities to listen to some people talk about what Kanye was talking about and going through. For one, I'm happy people started reaching out to him because I feel like when Kanye gets into this phase, like he goes on rants for like 3 or 4 days and the world sits to him like, okay, he's going through something. Mm-hmm. And two, Kanye been said he stopped taking his medicines, right? Now I'm not sure what meds he's on, but there are times I feel like every time he does this, that gets used as an excuse. And how long as somebody on his platform is going to be able to get a pass? Like he says these outrageous things, and I would say this: he gets paid to say these outrageous things because if Kanye technically puts up a YouTube video of the random stuff he says or does, and I'm sure that he may have some legality into it, these things trend. Right? It's trend regardless. I don't want to go on YouTube and look up videos of probably anything that's entitled to him that's going to hit numbers, right? So this benefits Kanye financially, but mentally, I can say this doesn't, because for one, I must speak from two different sides, right? Let's take from the husband side. If you're going something with your spouse, right, it should never be this public. Mm-hmm. That's going to be the first way I want to address what Kanye is. And second, it does sound like it's as we're going to take this from the hood, so we're going to put it back in context, right? He just sound like he's having that I'm going through the issue with my baby mama, right? But which is true. But he said, you see how how the tweet started, and he starts talking about. I mean, he brought up he's dabbled in the family history of what I guess the Kardashians / Jenners they do over there and how they make their money and how they, I guess the imagery and exploitation is right. How they're very successful.
Jabbing at Kris Jenner for sure. So mother-in-law got in on the action.
Now, I'm not saying I want to get taken out of context with this right here, you know. I would say this: Kris Jenner finally got her hands on a nice mixed racial baby. Is a little bit older than Travis Scott's and what's the name? Kylie's baby, right? Yeah. So, in the sense of exploitation, right? Those two little girls do come first. You already see how much money they make off the gram posting those baby pictures. If you remember, this is one of the reasons why Cardi B was very reluctant on wanting to post Culture, because she wanted to have that moment, that privacy, right? Mm-hmm. And when you think about what their family does, and I would like to say, when Kanye said they're talking about Get Out, that was a joke that been used on Kanye for years now. Uh-huh. So yeah. It's like I think at this moment he's like, okay, you know what, guys? I think I'm just gonna embrace the moment of using it. Now, secondly, I did a little bit of research, and I think this is after I paid attention that Dave Chappelle, just to put it back in context, went to go see him. And after watching the Dave Chappelle video, or watching, let's say the small clips of video that I've seen of Dave Chappelle out there, Dave Chappelle is trying to hang with him, right? But I felt like Kanye was trying to get as much media attention as possible. So now I start wondering, and guys, this is just my personal thought from what I'm looking from a distance, Kanye got new music or got an album coming out. If it's not this week or next week, right? So it's like, yo, what are you technically doing, and how you're trying to use your platform to show how you can manipulate people? Because I do feel like a lot of the things that he's doing right now, is crazy, but it's very part of the manipulation and how much clout that he got with it. Like I'm gonna say this: when Kanye does stuff like this, for the clout that he gets, I think people need to stop watching Kanye.
Okay, so I have, I have to bring in the context of bipolar disorder.
Correct.
I feel like I've definitely seen a lot of people say the things that you're saying, but I also feel like those same people don't really understand how bipolar disorder works. I feel like people are kind of like, it's, a publicity stunt, and, it's for media and this and that. And somebody even told me that, anytime he has a project coming out, like, this happens. But then you have to take into consideration that if he goes off of his meds because it clouds his creativity, every time he has a project coming out would be exactly when he'd be having a manic episode.
That's correct.
So, you have situations where people do things for the clout and people do things for the attention, but then you have to also take into consideration what bipolar disorder is and how people react in situations when they're not on medications. It goes untreated. People don't even know that they're bipolar sometimes. I mean, he clearly is diagnosed. He's been diagnosed for a very long time. He's spoken about his, struggles with his diagnosis and his mental health, right? So for somebody who is diagnosed and who has been through treatment, has been through medication, but refuses to stay on medication because it messes with his money, because it messes with his creativity.
Mm-hmm.
You also have to take into consideration that somebody who is having a manic episode and somebody who has bipolar disorder has these exact traits.
Correct.
You brought the you brought up the fact that he brought the media and everything into it, but the way that I saw that and the way that I was looking at it is he is very well aware that Kim and Chris and whoever else he has around him would like him to be back on medication and would like him to, probably be checked into an inpatient place so that he
Mm-hmm.
can treatment for it.
Mm-hmm.
And bipolar people are not insane.
That's
He
correct. Yes, true.
So if he's seeing all of this, he wants to prove to the world that he is okay. He does not
And
want to be medicated, and he does not want to be institutionalized. I don't know if you've ever seen the series Homeland. Um, Homeland is about the government, the CIA, and like terrorist organizations all over the world. They go on different missions, and they have their little setups where the wars that are going on, especially in the Middle East and stuff like that. So the main actress in that show is Claire Danes.
mm-hmm.
Claire Danes had her character is bipolar.
Okay.
If you never have seen somebody who has been through a manic episode who is not on medication, and she does the same thing. Sometimes she says, the medication clouds me, so I come off of it because that's when my genius kicks in. That's when I'm able to solve these cases. That's when I'm able to do my best work. So one of the more recent seasons, she literally portrayed step by step what it looks like for somebody to be off of their medication, for somebody to be having manic episodes, it literally goes as far as having hallucinations. But before it gets to that point, it's a buildup. It's not everything happening right away. You are, you know, you're not thinking about your actions. You're very impulsive. Your emotions go from one thing to the next very quickly. You're all over the place. It's almost like a bouncing ball in a room. You're just bouncing from one wall to the next and that was literally how his stream of thoughts was going on Twitter. It was like, these things aren't even related. Like you're saying things that it's hard to understand because one minute you're Drake with a thinking emoji, the next minute you're looking up Halle Berry, and then the next minute you're saying that they want to lock you up and the movie Get Out is about you. Um, Things like this, I think people take for granted because not a lot of people know about mental health issues, number one. But number two, when you hear mental health issues, a lot of people who have never experienced it will automatically jump to like, okay, they're just insane, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
it, you're insane or you're looking for attention. These are like mental issues are all about the mind. If you cannot control your mind, you will look insane, number one. But number two, especially to society who has, a set of rules that people follow, right? But
Mm-hmm.
number two, you don't have control over your actions. So I really do think that everyone should go and YouTube um, Claire Danes. Her character name is Carrie in Homeland. YouTube one of her manic episodes so that you can get a better understanding of what it looks like and what somebody is doing throughout that time. And she at one point told her boyfriend, like, listen, you're going to have to like get me to take my meds once you realize that I'm completely losing it. And the arguments that ensue, it's almost like trying to physically hold somebody down to take their medication, but they're an adult, right? So how do you go about that if they're an adult? How do you tell them this is not you, you need the medication, when they're feeling on this high and their quote unquote thoughts are just bouncing from one end to the next, and they feel as if they're
Mm-hmm.
so brilliant, but everyone else can see that that's not really them. um in the episode when she was telling him like, you're gonna have to do this, or even, I mean, at another point in a different season, she had another point where her meds stopped working, and her sister kept trying to tell her to get on some new meds, to go see a doctor, to go figure out what can be done. And she kept saying like, if she did that, she was going to be out of her job and she wasn't going to be able to figure out what was going on with the terrorist attack that was coming or had already come. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But in the situation, it's difficult to for people to actually sit them down and make them listen. They don't want to listen because they think that everything is going to be fine. They think they can handle it. They think, okay, let me just, self-medicate with other things, whether it's alcohol or whatever the case is, right? So in Kanye's situation, I feel like it all looks as if it's, some big stunt, but I feel like this keeps happening because he doesn't stay on his medication. And everyone is going to look at it and try and dismiss it and say, oh, just don't even pay attention to it. But you have to pay attention because he is ill, he is sick. And bipolar disorder isn't the only disorder that calls for medication, that people sometimes just shy away from the medication, because you also have to take into consideration what the pills and the medication do to somebody. So versus having a manic episode where you're bouncing off the walls, but you feel completely fine to you. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have taking medication and feeling like your life is just monotonous. You're sleeping all the time. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I have people around me who are diagnosed with other disorders. I myself have anxiety, so I know the things that can happen, and no matter what logically your brain is telling you, it doesn't really matter. I am probably one of the most logical people out there, but when my anxiety kicks in, I can't help what I feel, and I'm thinking like, this is the end of the world. So I just feel like a lot of people should start paying attention a little bit more to the effects of mental disorders and bipolar disorder and the manic episodes, because I think that this entire situation, I feel like his friends, even, I mean, you had said it to me recently that there was, I guess, somebody or a few people in the industry that were kind of just like, that's just Kanye.
Yeah.
And then,
Jim Jones actually was the first person. He was like, "Yo, Kanye been like this," but his question was, "Is like, how long are we gonna give him a pass?" I mean, they're talking about clout wise. Instead of we sit here and be like, "Yo, Kanye is going crazy on the net," we need to look at him like, okay, if whenever we see Kanye doing this, You see how Dave Chappelle kind of went out there and was like, "Yo, checking in on him. We need more of that going on." Instead of the world looking at him like, "Yo, he's going mentally deranged." It's like, it's like, yes, he has a disorder, right? But instead of keep chopping him up, like they need to somebody need to be in place or in arm's length reach to make him feel better. And Kanye said something that I gotta put in context right now, right? If you're somebody who's very financially stable the way he is, so is Kim, and I'm not saying money's not supposed to be financially driven, right? Why can't the man keep his family close to him? These are a lot of the things that keep insane people, I would say, sane. Because if you're going through a situation like that, right? I would hope your fan and guys, don't judge me. I guess I'm taking this part of the context in the sense that I would think that having your family around would make you feel better. Like if I'm going through something and I can see my daughters every day and my wife, right? Those are things that should be in place to make me feel better. And he said it right there. He's like, "Yo, I want my family next to me." And the other and whatever the other station was like, "Yo, they can't dictate that." And it shows how much pressure we put on people to keep these reality going. You know what I mean? Because I would say, not Kim, like Kim, if you hit $1 billion, which is a lot of people's dream, because that's what your status just said, you're now a billionaire, right? And Kanye is stable. Like, yo, there's nothing wrong with you taking a year off and focus on your family. You have that much finance. You know what I mean? If you are broke, and it's like, yo, Kanye, you have to keep working. I'm not saying I'm giving a pass during that moment, but you have the financial stability, right? For you to say, okay, guys, I can step away for a little bit and focus on my family. But when you hear the way you're hearing him scream, is like the industry controls the family so much is that they're trying to control him. And we're talking about him having a disorder. So you're saying that he doesn't like being in a box, and then you consistently have somebody putting him in a box. And now, I'm not saying I don't see why getting to Wyoming would never been a good deal. Now I see why it may be a good thing, because what do you think is out there in Wyoming? None.
Absolutely nothing.
There's none out there, right? So you're
Horses.
thinking there's horses, $45,000 worth of them, right? That's how much money. And that's another thing. Like when you can buy a horse for $45,000 a piece, when you got like I think like 40 something of them he has out there, it's like he's trying to tell me each one of these little creatures worth $45,000. Like yeah, you can give me a year of vacation. You feel what I'm saying? And if you guys want to make it suspenseful, you're like, yo, you guys can have the exclusive footages of stuff that we may film while we're living a real family life. And you want to hear something crazy? As much as we love crazy Kanye, we would actually love seeing Kanye and being successful because we've seen him so crazy. You feel me? But at the rate that Kanye is going, it's like I don't want to say that's bad because I don't want to wish ill for people. Is that your Kanye may I don't want to say die, but he may hurt himself drastically trying to prove a point. You know what I mean?
That's exactly where my mind went. So here's the thing. Let's put it back into context when it comes to mental health. First of all, he married this woman knowing exactly what they were. He
Yeah.
married her knowing exactly what she does. He married her knowing exactly who their family was. When he made the decision to decide that he wasn't going to be on the show, he didn't want to film, he wanted to move back to Chicago at that point,
Mm-hmm.
he knew that Kim was not going to be living with him. She couldn't to keep up the show, right? At this point, it's between a husband and a wife. If she wants to take time off, she can take time off. The same way that Courtney stepped back from the show and said, "Hey, I'm not doing this anymore. I want to spend time with my family." She can do that. So if it's her decision that she doesn't want to do that, because just because you're a mother does not mean that you have to, stop your life and stop work and stop doing what you love.
Mm-hmm.
So that aside, husband and wife, dealings, whatever their decision was, he decided that he wanted to move away. He decided he didn't want to be anywhere near the
Mm-hmm.
show. And that was fine for him. That's the life that he wanted. He wanted his peace and quiet and his solitude, and that's amazing. I feel
Mm-hmm.
helped him, especially after moving to Wyoming and having all the, I mean, animals are therapeutic. I don't care what anybody says. I mean, there are studies to that effect, but I'm just saying, like, nobody could tell me otherwise anyway. So I'm sure that it helps him to be out there without, any distraction and, with the animals around him and in nature and all of that. That's great for his mental health, right? So apart from the husband and wife dealings, you now have to also consider the fact that he refuses to stay on his medication. Someone who has bipolar disorder can self harm. They are not thinking in their right mind. They're very impulsive. They do things that are reckless as hell, and they don't even know why. Sometimes, I mean, I've literally heard from somebody who is bipolar. They did something, and then they look back and they're like, I don't know, I'm not sure why I did that, because that's not really how I felt. So you look at all of these things in context, and then you have to figure out what's the best strategy, what's the best way to deal with the situation when you have a grown man, a whole adult who is also a parent, who should know better, who should know that you shouldn't be off of your medication. As a mother, what's the best route to take here? You're gonna just leave your kids around somebody who is unstable, who is unmedicated, who refuses to get treatment, and could potentially self-harm and could potentially harm your kids, or you're gonna try and distance yourself from the situation because he doesn't want to take the help. Now in Florida,
Yeah, I mean, no, it is so crazy. It's crazy in so many different ways. I think there's a lot that needs to get reevaluated in their situations.
I
I
mean,
mean, in the
first,
sense of what the decision is going to make from him and her, and
mm-hmm.
how it is going to be able to move forward. And I'm just saying that for the kids, you get what I'm saying, because how these things is going to affect their relationship and how stuff is going to be able to move forward in their life. I personally think that there's a lot that's going to get done, and if they don't find a way to move on, it's just going to get darker and darker for him. Because yes, I would like to say Kanye and Meds is good, right? Because that's what they think. People for their business and because of how they like their finances, right? Kanye needs to be off his meds to make this money. Now, this will be my question. From what I'm looking at, I do think one of them has to step away. I'm gonna say this because Kim is the more sane one at this moment. She's not the one who has to be on meds. I think Kanye may need to step away from his business endeavors for a little bit. It's gonna sound crazy for me to say this now, and I'm gonna say something a little bit even further. I do think Kanye should move back to LA if that's where the business is for Kim, right? But he has to be in a system where his mind or his body has to be under any form of stress. I think that's how we can put Kanye back in context, right? Do some evaluation on him that way. Like take all stress away. Like look, Jay, like, and I'm saying this for all his Yeezy and everybody else. Like, look, I know you guys have got products from me. You've got designs. You've got everything I had to give for like I'm more than 10 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like let those money pile in for a little bit, right? And stop. And I mean, we've known people from the industry.
Mm-hmm.
The industry is demanding.
Mm-hmm.
And I do understand what artists go through. Relevancy is, I guess, is key, right? Because you got to find new ways to stay relevant and new ways to stay creative, right? But sometimes you need to step away. Like we're gonna say something crazy. Look how Lil Wayne had to step away from the game for a little bit.
Yeah, true.
And he stepped away. That's because a lot of personal stuff was going on in his life. Look what happened when he came back. I want you to understand he relaunched Young Money after going through his personal stuff. Now look where Young Money is. Now we're gonna talk about Drake's success and Nicki's success and and the money that he's made from all of the artists, Tyga and all of them. We've seen the type of endeavors they've done, boot deals that Baby has done over there because Wayne has given them a new platform, a new way to rebrand and to relaunch, sometimes it takes it good to take away. And I would like to say this, like he created a record label, Good Music, right? You have people you put in place. This is the reason why you have Pusha T in place. You keep saying Pusha saying this is an exodus. Why won't you let some of the people that you have in place play their position?
Mm-hmm.
You know what
I
I
mean,
mean? Like, give that power up.
I think it's also difficult though to walk away from something you love like that. So I kind of like feel it for him, because if something that you're passionate about is being taken away from you, it can be rough. But here's the thing, like I really think that he needs to figure out a way to stay on his meds and still channel that creativity. And I'm speaking from a place where I don't know what it's like to be on meds for bipolar disorder. I don't know what meds he's taking. I don't know, maybe he's just been given meds to the point where he's just in the clouds all day. Um, I really think that he needs to pay attention to his mental health and be treated so that he can find the right dosage of medication, the right meds to begin with, because that has a huge role to play in it as well. I know someone else who, spent a really long time going from doctor to doctor and wasn't able to sort out his meds properly and ended up just spending, a good year or more of his life sleeping. Because the meds just made him sleepy. He was having, issues sleeping in the nights, and he'd sleep all day. Then when he woke up, it's like, you're groggy and cloudy for the whole day. It started throwing his emotions out of whack. So I know that medication isn't always the best thing, but then eventually he was able to see a doctor who started, kind of, I don't want to use the word experimenting, but that's essentially what it is. Sometimes you have to figure out what works for your body. So it is an experiment of like, is this the right medication for you? What happens when you take it? Is this the right dose for you? If this is too much, maybe we can cut this down. Maybe we can combine it with this so that you actually feel good. But if you're not paying attention to your mental health and you just don't want to be bothered and you don't want to be on medication and you don't want to be treated, this is the kind of stuff that's going to happen. So, yeah, I agree with you. He needs to take a step back and focus on his mental health before he can come back stronger. So, let's also move into the second set of tweets that he shot off, which was the day after. Was it the day after or 2 days after?
I think it was the day after.
Yeah, he was busy. So the day after, he tweets, Chris and Kim put out a statement without my approval. That's not what a wife should do. White supremacy. Meek is my man and was respectful. That's my dog. Kim was out of line. I'm worth $5 billion and more than that through Christ. But y'all ain't listened to MJ and now y'all believe them? So for context, MJ is Kim's grandmother. They tried to fly in with 2 doctors to 51 out of 50 me. I don't know what that means, but I'm betting that it's something similar to what Florida has in that if an adult is showing signs of self-harm or harming anyone else, they can get involuntarily institutionalized if their family is for it.
It's a Baker. Is it called Baker after? Vaporize somebody.
Florida, it's called Baker Act. I don't know what it's called in Wyoming. That's why I'm saying maybe the 5150 is related to that.
Okay.
But that's what it sounds like. The rest of the tweet reads, I've been trying to get divorced since Kim met with Meek at the Waldorf for quote
I'm laughing. Continue.
For quote unquote prison reform. I got 200 more to go. This my lady tweet of the night. Chris Jong-un. Lil Baby, my favorite rapper, but won't do a song with me. So, okay, for context, once again, this is one tweet.
Mm-hmm.
That I read off to you, starting from they flew in with 2 doctors to 5150 me to the last line, Lil Baby, my favorite rapper, but won't do a song with me. Do y'all how this is so incoherent? It's not funny. One tweet. one tweet has exactly what he was saying. I think it's like 300 characters or something that you're allowed to use in one tweet. Generally, when people tweet things, they tweet one thing about one thought at a time. He used his entire tweet to start from, I'm assuming they tried to Baker Act me, to I want to get a divorce, and Chris is Chris Jong-un, and Lil Baby's my favorite rapper, but he won't do a song with me. It's almost mind-blowing that people are looking at this and really not understanding that this is mental illness.
Yeah, it is. It is. It definitely is.
Yeah, I mean, the next tweet says, I guess he retweeted his tweet about MJ. So he said, MJ told you about Tommy before they killed him. Kim saved my daughter's life in the name of Jesus. It's God's choice only. I will live for my children. Chris, I'm in Cody if you're not planning another one of your children's Playboy shoots. I don't know who Tommy is. I just know MJ is Kim's grandmother, Kris Jenner's mother. I'm not sure who he's talking about here, who this Tommy person is that got killed. A sane person would try and connect the dots to Kim saved my daughter's life and say maybe somebody had an abortion and they had named him Tommy. I don't know. I'm so confused right now. But, you see again, he came with another jab for Kris Jenner.
Yeah.
The next tweet says, come and get me. The next tweet says, Larsa with a thinking emoji. The next tweet says, in Jesus' name, no more cap. The next tweet says, Drake with a thinking smiley. Once again. Once again, he's at Drake. The next tweet says, should I name more? The next tweet, he retweeted his tweet about how MJ told people about Tommy and said, we can handle this like gentlemen.
Who is Tommy?
I wish I knew. I really wish I knew.
Yeah, because when guys start going, we can handle this like gentlemen, right? That means somebody is feeling offended in some form or way. Well, continue, Janelle, continue.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the extent of it. I mean, other than posting his new album's checklist.
Yeah.
He posted the names of them, and I mean, even the names are in gibberish at one point. They're almost like they're missing letters. I think, is it missing vowels? I think he took all the vowels out of the words.
Really? I didn't see that part. Probably because I was not paying that close attention to it. Because I was like, Kanye, what are you up to right now?
Well, it's on a red sheet of paper, and there are things that you can kind of decipher what some of it is saying. So one of it has WTHCHLB. So he took out the I's, the vowels. So yeah, I mean, you can tell it's child, right? Another one says NGDE, and then the second word says CNTR. I have no idea what that says, but I'm guessing center is the second word. I mean, I don't know. It's all confused, confuzzled. We really don't know what it is. Somebody else came out and tweeted underneath his tweet with a comment that was saying he's trying to decipher it, and he came out with child, God breathed, right now, in God's country, alien, off grid, keep our spirits alive, 12,000 acres, our king, glory, and praise God. And there were two more that, I mean, one looks like the first word could be Lord. I don't know what the heck the second word is. And then there was another one, the first word says WK. I mean, honestly, I don't want to just try to decipher what's going on in his brain right now. All I'm saying is he tweeted a bunch. Then he says, well, sorry, not him. Kim responded after that.
Yeah, please. I was hoping you. Thank you for getting to the part that Kim, because I was like, Kanye, because Kanye was, I'm not gonna lie. At one point, I was like, Kanye, it's like, who got your phone? Like, like, if they were watching you yesterday, like, who got your phone? Come on, like, publicist, who's getting paid to make this look good?
I mean, honestly, I don't understand how he still has his phone. I mean, the amount of people who I mean, okay, apart from the Kardashian family, the amount of people who keep saying, we have to make sure he's okay. Um, you know, as you said, sorry, the name is blanking me. Somebody went to visit him. Um,
A lot of people I've heard went to go visit him in different spaces.
no, the one that you were just talking about.
Dave Chappelle.
Right. So Dave Chappelle went to visit him. There was a second one that I don't remember who it was, but I saw that on my own. But it's just all these people are showing concern for him, but they're not saying what needs to be said. Like, you need the medication, you need the treatment. Get the heck off Twitter. What is happening right now? I mean, and so let's take it, as you like to say, out of context, right? If this isn't about his bipolar disorder, if this is a marital spat, why are your friends not telling you to get the heck off Twitter?
That's correct. I would hope that was what the narrative would be when they go out there.
Honestly, like, I don't understand how this can continue, how it's been, a couple nights in a row without anyone calling him and saying, hey, like, what are you doing? Don't do that. That's, first of all, that's nothing that an adult does to begin with. But somebody who is, married and in the public eye like that, you don't do things like that. Anyway, so back to Kim. She posts her statement on what's been going on, I guess. And she says, as many of you know, Kanye has bipolar disorder. Anyone who has this or has a loved one in their life who does knows how incredibly complicated and painful it is to understand. I've never spoken publicly about how this has affected us at home because I am very protective of our children and Kanye's right to privacy when it comes to his health. But today, I feel like I should comment on it because of the stigma and misconceptions about mental health. Those that understand mental illness or even compulsive behavior know that the family is powerless unless the member is a minor. People who are unaware or far removed from this experience can be judgmental and not understand that the individual themselves have to engage in the process of getting help, no matter how hard family and friends try. I understand Kanye is subject to criticism because he is a public figure and his actions at times can cause strong opinions and emotions. He is a brilliant but complicated person who, on top of the pressures of being an artist and a Black man, experienced the painful loss of his mother and has to deal with the pressure and isolation that is heightened by his bipolar disorder. Those who are close with Kanye know his heart and understand his words sometimes do not align with his intentions. Living with bipolar disorder does not diminish or invalidate his dreams and his creative ideas, no matter how big or unobtainable they may feel to some. That is part of his genius, and as we have all witnessed, many of his big dreams have come true. We as a society talk about giving grace to the issue of mental health as a whole. However, we should also give it to the individuals who are living with it in times when they need it the most. I kindly ask the media and public, give us the compassion and empathy that is needed so that we can get through this. Thank you for those who have expressed concern for Kanye's well-being and for your understanding. With love and gratitude, Kim Kardashian West.
That was very well written.
It so was. Oh, man.
Oh, man, Janelle. I was like, yo, Janelle, if I'm going to show you, that's how your publicists work.
Yeah. Listen, they got a bomb team behind them because this, I mean, I haven't seen something. I mean, our president doesn't even talk like this. Our president's PR isn't even like this.
No.
Yeah, this was awesome. This was amazing.
I applaud him for the statement.
Yeah, whoever wrote it anyway.
whoever wrote it. But I would say this. You see, these are the things I'm talking about. It's who controls the narrative. And I'm gonna say this. Do you know that's the reason why they took a step back? Because the only reason why I felt like she had to address it is because, for one, Kanye started putting moms into a negative light. Not saying she's not been in a negative light, but when you start talking about the TV stations, and you could start technically hurt financial endeavors, right? The way Kanye may speak, I think that it was addressed appropriately to keep the narrative clear, in the saying that, because if when you listen to the statement, she technically took her mom out of it
Mm-hmm.
very, very, very easily
I mean,
without even stressing the point.
I don't even. I would have to think about what slack she's getting at home from her mom, because her
Mm-hmm.
mom's been getting a lot of the brunt of this whole situation, but she's
Mm-hmm.
not the only one. So you notice that when she spoke on it, she mentioned the people who are in his life and the people who know his heart, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that, I mean, that's not strictly about Kris Jenner. He's mentioning a bunch of people for no good reason right now. He was talking about Anna Wintour. He was talking about Drake. He was Google searching Halle Berry and talking about Larsa Pippen. There's so many people that are involved in his tweets right now. And granted, he's not really saying much about it. We don't know what he meant when he tweeted these people's names or Google searched these people. Although people on Twitter have ideas. Um, I've seen tweets talk about how they think that he's referring to Larsa Pippen and the fact that she has her. I mean, I don't know how old her daughter is. Let's go with 12. um, her daughter just on Instagram in bikinis and stuff like that. And they're basically saying that he's implying that Larsa is just like Kris. Um, I guess, if you're going to imply or infer something along those lines, you could maybe say the same about Drake's baby mother.
Okay.
Um, I don't see why you would say anything about Halle Berry or Jennifer Lawrence,
Well,
but
yeah, because I would say this. Halle, I think Halle has tried to keep the kids very private.
yeah, I don't know. Like I said, people are trying to make sense of what is going on in his head. People are trying to make sense of his tweets. I'm not sure that I'm willing to try and decipher it because I don't know.
Just to put that in context, guys, we're not trying to decipher Kanye's tweets.
Yeah, no, I just feel like even a part of the statement where she was saying, um people don't understand, the bipolar disorder and how things are heightened and all of this, but the people who know his heart and understand his words don't align with his intentions. And I'm thinking, I just personally feel, bringing it back to what you said earlier about, people in the industry being like, that's just Kanye. I
Mm.
don't think that people really know the difference between his normal state and his manic state. And I think it's very easy for people to not know the difference, because even somebody living with bipolar disorder cannot know the difference.
That is
People
correct.
who are undiagnosed and don't even know that they suffer with it can't tell the difference. They just feel like, this is a normal day for them. Um, until things start to get bad and the depression starts to kick in, and then you wonder, okay, what's wrong with me, what's going on, and that's when you start looking for help. But before that point, how can you tell what's just regular, quirky, out there, creative Kanye, and what is manic episode bipolar disorder Kanye? What is too much for Kanye? Is it that he's bouncing off the walls right now, because he's unmedicated, or is this just him in his creative process? You get what I'm saying? I feel like
Mm-hmm.
people who are around him and who have known him throughout the years don't know the difference.
Just Janelle, I think you kind of hit it on the head with not knowing the difference, because when you think about what they've known of Kanye in his musical career, they've I would say he's constantly being kept into creative genius mode, right? And as we have seen to tell, creative genius mode is him off the meds. So
I
the whole time they've been hanging with Kanye, wilding with Kanye, and I'm not gonna say he was unstable, guys. Please don't quote me on that. But within that mind frame, they really couldn't tell the difference. Now, And now we're constantly hearing now, like, look, for him to be creative, he has to be off the meds. So then you look back, then you're like, yo, you really would have been crazy as life then, you
I
know?
mean, look at the instance when he jumped on stage with the whole Beyonce and Taylor Swift thing. Somebody brought that up to me a couple days ago, and I was thinking about it, and I'm like, if that was around the time that he was off his meds and he's self-medicating with liquor, it makes so much sense because I'm not saying that people who have bipolar disorder are completely crazy. They understand what's going on in their head and they have the same opinions and they have the same, drive and just what Kim was saying, the same ambitions and the dreams and all of this. But it's just a matter of having tact with it as well. Because when you're impulsive and you're not, in your right mind, you do things that you would not do if you weren't off of the meds.
Yo,
Um,
you're right. He was on tour. He was on Watch the Throne tour during
right.
that period.
He was sitting in the audience with a glass of liquor in his hand, and people tried to say, "Oh, he was just drunk." But really, I mean, I'm pretty sure that his opinion on that situation still stands to this day. I think a lot of people felt, "Who the hell is Taylor Swift, and why is she getting this award over Beyonce?" Right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm not taking away the fact that this is how he really felt. What I am saying is that if he was having a manic episode, if he was not on his meds at that time, his impulsiveness for him to just jump up and get on stage and say, you need to hear what I have to say right now. You need to hear what's going on in my head right now. The same way that he does on Twitter when he's in the middle of a manic episode and just kind of streams off consciousness of what's going on in my head. You need to hear me right now. That
Mm-hmm.
literally looks exactly like what happened on stage.
That is correct. That is correct. I think Mike Myers would. No, no, is it Mike Myers would say the same thing when he did his George Bush thing? I remember the look he had on his face when he said George Bush hate black people. You remember that? And my guy from Austin Powers, you remember the look he had on his face? He looked at Kanye like, this boy got to be crazy for saying this right now while I'm on stage with him. But it's if you go back and you watch, and I'm gonna say this, Jay-Z knew.
I mean, everybody knew that he had bipolar disorder and he had those moments. But again, I just feel like unless you have experience with it, you're not really knowing what you're looking at. I have been around somebody who was bipolar and undiagnosed. Nobody knew. I didn't know. That person didn't know. But it's not until later on where you can put things in retrospect and say, hey, I can see that. I can see that, this was a manic episode or this was something you were doing that was completely out of character or, it just comes into context. It just makes sense at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't know what it looks like, if you don't know, like I said, the difference between the normal state and the manic state, it's tough. It's really tough. Like, kudos to anybody who deals with somebody who not only has bipolar disorder, but just in general has any kind of mental disorder. I know my anxiety is like, it's tough to deal with. It's tough for anyone to deal with, not just myself. So I can't even imagine having to deal with somebody who has those highs and lows, who goes through so many different extremes in the matter of a few minutes. I don't know if I could personally do it. So hats off to people who are in relationships with, who have kids with, who have anyone close to them with any kind of mental disorders.
Well, I mean, Kanye asked if y'all gonna vote for him or not. That's one of the tweets that I enjoyed. So let's not go. Let's not go there. But let's put it all in context, because before we switch a small topic, um, I would say this in this moment and looking what Kanye is going through. For anybody out there who have people in their life who go through these episodes who you feel like, I would not gonna say bipolar because not all of us are bipolar. Because as Janelle said, we all have episodes of different things we deal with. You know what I mean? As she anxiety highlighted her anxiety, I deal with my anxiety in different ways as well. So I completely understand. Um, it shows that sometimes you need to check up on your people. I would like to say this, keep them in context, especially when you start seeing them get out of context, because that's what we're supposed to be around each other for. You know what I mean? Because we're not perfect. Nobody is, right? And sometimes if you let people get too far out of context, this is what it may lead to.
And I mean, really, we all have our crap, especially if you live in the United States of America.
With all the craziness that's going on. Now, wait, now, Jet, I do want you to chop something up. I know we didn't. I was kind of waiting to hear statements from Tory before I dabble into this.
Right, right. So, okay, I'm definitely not even going to speak on that situation until we know exactly what's going on
Yeah,
because I think it's like you said, it's been going on for a while and we don't know the
yeah,
details. We can only speculate at this point what happened between Tory Lanez and Meg The Stallion, right?
yeah.
I would not like to speak on anything that I do not like
Mm,
officially and like I don't have any of the deets. Nobody does.
yeah, nobody does, and I felt like they've stayed quiet for a
Yeah.
reason. And she said what she needed to say to give all legalities their ways to work, their work what is supposed to work. But I felt like she gave enough to close the door. Like
Yeah.
let the situation go where it's supposed to go. And I would say this though, Janelle, when the instant I get some information on that topic,
We're definitely talking about it.
yeah, we're definitely gonna put it in context.
So what I did want to talk about was the fact that Draya did a little interview talking about the entire situation, and I guess somebody asked her what she thinks happened, and her response was she um I guess believes, or not that she believes, but she's inferring, her inference I guess is that um they got themselves into a situation that was a little bit Bobby and Whitney. um and then she kind of, people are saying that she joked, and she said that she joked, but God honest truth, I don't think she joked.
Mm,
She said, I like that. I want somebody who likes me so much that if I'm getting out the car, they're gonna shoot me in the foot too. So so the whole podcast, because she was on a podcast, I don't know whose, stopped and was like, whoa, like what did you just say? And she repeated herself. She said, yeah, I want him to like me so much that if I'm telling him I'm getting the hell out the car, he's gonna tell me, no, you not, shoot me in my foot. um so here's the thing. She's getting a lot of backlash right now. Meg was not happy. Meg was pissed off that she was, taking her situation and making light of it and joking about it. But here's the thing. I have followed Draya for a long time. I love me some Draya. Um, she was, a little bit of a chicken head back in the day. Cool. I think we all had our little moments. It's part of growing up. You go and you do wild stuff, and then you start to get older, and that's fair. But I think that Draya was not joking. I genuinely feel like Draya meant what she said. I can full on see Draya in a relationship where somebody is, manhandling her, and she would completely be in love with it because she wants a man who is completely obsessed with her, and she wants a man who understands that she is going to be completely obsessed with him. And if that sounds sick to some people, and if that sounds like completely crossing the line to some people, that's entirely fair. But I don't think that Draya feels like it is sick and completely crossing the line. So I just think that a lot of people, are attacking the situation. And so she kind of had to dial it back and be like, my bad, I was joking. I shouldn't have joked. But I don't think she was joking.
no, I don't think she was joking. And not to speak on Draya's situation, I think Draya and her partner, I think his name is Orlando.
Yeah, they both.
Um, they have had their stint in the media. Not saying Dre doesn't have enough clout for the media to run, to kind of chase down what she and Orlando have done, but I guess some form of aggression have shown over the periods, and they're still together. So when she says that, a little
I
bit of craziness,
I believe her.
yeah,
I so believe her.
that is.
I mean, she probably went overboard in saying like, I want him to shoot me in the foot too. Who wants to get shot in the foot, right? But I do believe that the concept behind the words, she really believes it. That's personally my take on it. I just feel like that's what she likes in relationships, like a
Mhm.
completely obsessive type relationship. I mean, she's been on camera like snatching, his phone away and like, making sure that she's in control and things like that. So I can see her being entirely happy and enthralled in a relationship like that. Um, I'm sorry that she's getting this backlash right now because there's no way in hell that she can come forward and be like, well, that's just what I like. Because people are going to be like, what's wrong with you? You need help.
Well, I mean, Janelle, as bad as you say that, sometimes you just got to own your truth.
I, I mean,
I'm Janelle. I ain't gonna lie. I've heard a lot of girls lately, and not saying it. I've heard a lot of girls say that like being choked, right? In their retrospect. So I would say this, like, um, some people go through their different levels, and that's the reason why I don't want to speak on Tory and on Meg's thing, because I have a different thought into the situation. Tory is 5'3", Meg is like, she's a little bit bigger than him. He's about a buck 10, a buck 20. Yes, yeah, he's like 5'3". So Tory Lanez is a very short guy, and I've run across a lot of guys in my life who has short man syndrome and felt like they have to get their point across. So that's the reason why I say I don't want to chop it up. I want to hear him speak first. I want to hear what he has to say.
anyone speak at this point. Somebody. because because we literally know nothing that happened. We just know, bits and pieces of the police report, I guess, but nobody's saying anything at this point. I yeah, we'll save that conversation for another day. All I'm saying is I feel bad for Draya, and as much as you want to say stand in your truth, you also have to acknowledge that she is a role model at this point for young women. I mean, she's been not keynote speaker, like she's spoken at conferences and stuff for young women, and she has, her swimsuit line and whatever else endeavors that she has going on.
I like
I
this line.
her Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Not that I've ever bought anything from them because they don't allow you to switch sizes out. So like
Really?
I yeah, like for when I shop for swimsuits, I have to get an extra small bottom and a small top, and they don't allow that. They like you have to order small and small together, that kind of thing.
Oh, so
So
you gotta spend twice the money. Okay, I get it.
yeah, yeah. So, but they are pretty. I like her stuff. But aside from that, I just don't think that you can stand up and really say that you like borderline abusive relationships when you're supposed to be making money off of being a role model for women right now. So,
That is
uh,
correct.
yeah, that wouldn't be smart of her. But like I said, I have observed her. I've been a fan of her for a while, and I just think that she wasn't joking. That's just my opinion. That's not context. That's my opinion.
Hey, sometimes we got to take stuff out of context before we can put it back in context. But I mean, so now, Janelle, is there anything else we would like to touch on before we go?
Not this week. I think I've said enough. Next week we'll be back with another topic. Honestly, I'm hoping that July can just chill because I really did want to talk about other things. Especially considering that politics is a huge thing right now, and I have a lot to say about politics and the orange man in the White House. So I would love to, but things just keep popping up on me that I'm like, I gotta talk about this. So yeah.
So guys, you know what? I think next week, um, we're gonna aim for something a little bit more political, just so we can keep things in context before it reach November and stuff starts getting taken out of context.
Yeah.
But that's definitely where we would like to lay.
Hope,
Um,
like I said, nothing pops up on me that we have to discuss. So we'll just by air. Let's see what happens next week. This week we are done, right?
Yeah, yes, I would say this, guys. For the rest of the year, guys, we're done with Kanye. Kanye, please, you and Kim figure this out. 2020 has already given us enough, so we have to be dealing with your mental issue as well. I would say I wish the best for the West slash Dashian slash Jetta family in the situation. Um, as Kim publicist kindly put it when they wrote that beautiful statement, and what that she never had to read, but
So
but yeah, I would like that was actually very well put together statement. I want to make sure I get to reread it again. But I do want to say I wish the best to the West family. Please, for everybody who knows the West, knows Kanye, take an extra step in his life. I'm not saying just to tell him to get off social media, but it seems like there's more needs to get worked done there. I listened to a lot of different celebrities spoke about the situation in different ways, and when I started hearing them saying the same narrative or the same thing, it kind of puts my mind in perspective that yeah, something is technically going on between him and Kim, and that the mom is maybe involved, but those are personal issues, and I do feel like when you have personal issues that's marital, sometimes stuff like that has to get stay out of the media, even when I would say your social status requires otherwise, and that's just so I can keep everything in context. Um,
I just want to plug it one more time. I mean, I'm plugging it like I'm not even getting paid for it. I feel like people really do need to go and watch Homeland. I feel like you guys need to watch her manic episodes because she did such a beautiful job at portraying somebody with bipolar disorder and portraying somebody who has manic episodes and goes off of their medication. It was amazing to watch. It was so amazing. Um, so anyone who wants to know what that looks like, anyone who is interested in it, please go, look it up on YouTube or watch it. I think the show comes out on HBO if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember. Go find it, watch it, see for yourself.
all right, guys. So we want you to go ahead, like, comment, and if you heard that we've taken anything out of context in the conversation that we had today, please help us put it back in context, and you'll be surprised we may be able to take it out of context again next week. Um,
And subscribe, guys. Subscribe. Come back next week.
and hit that big red button. Peace.